When creating any graphics that are likely for print, it's a really good idea to start off with the print. I'm going to use A4 here. I'm just going to change it so that it's landscape by switching this around. It's got a name, Logo Designs version 1. If it was my second one, it'd be version 2. If I'm going to print it out, again, it will be 300 dpi. It would be 72 if it was for the web, but as it is, I'm going to start off with 300. I might change it to 72, but I cannot change it from 72 to 300 and retain the quality. You can only reduce, so let's start off with 300. A3 would make quite a large file, so A4 is a good one for what we're about to do today. So once I've got my shape, my canvas here, I can go over to the shape tool. Now we can use rectangles and we can use different shapes. We can change the colors as we go. We can change the stroke. I'm just going to change this to be quite disgusting. And I'm just going to reduce this down. Now, when I create lots of shapes, I can actually join them up as well. So I'm just going to put a different ellipse on here. I'm going to change the fill just so you can see what happens. Let's put a gradient on it. And let's change the stroke to be equally disgusting. Nice. Okay, now I'm going to move this over, and now if I want to combine shapes, I can actually use shift and highlight, and then in the layers I can unite, I can subtract, which is a really good way of building up different shapes depending on what you want to make. So I'm just going to do Ctrl Z to undo that. Let's go through the layer again, combine shapes, exclude, that just creates an excluded area. Now it's important to note which shape is underneath and which shape is on top, because this will change how you combine them. So if I unite them, the shape that was on the bottom is the one that controls how it will look. So there's some shapes put together. I'm just going to delete this one, so bin tool here. So sticking with this, now a really simple logo would be a shape with some text in it. Now my text is really small there, and I can change the size up here to 150. It's still not enough for me to really fit it in there, so I'm just going to change that to 350. And I'm going to just write a nice simple word, and it's going to be zoo. Let's do capitals. Zoo. Control A to select all. I'm going to go over here and change it to a font that looks appropriate for the word that I'm creating. And so let's go down to zoo. Okay, so again, this at the moment is just boring text. Go back to my shape, resize it. If I want to change the proportions, do you notice it's always sticking to the same proportions I set? Then if that's the case, I can hold down Control and it allows me to distort and change it completely. Whereas if I hold down Shift, that will allow me to just change the proportions. I'm going to come back to the color later, but right now I can go over to here, effects, and I can give it some effects that make it stand out. So the stroke here, you can't really see it. Let's change that to white. And again, can't see it. Let's just make that a little bit bigger. I'm trying to make this look like a sticker. I'm going to do a drop shadow. And maybe a slight bevel emboss to make it stand out. Okay, so I'm happy with that-ish, and resize. All right, so if I wanted to make this shape a little bit more interesting, I can do a couple of clever things here. Over here on the pen tool, I can actually edit the nodes. So if I wanted to, I can click minus, or I can put nodes in. So using the Control key, I'm able to move this around. I'm not happy with that, so Control Z, remove that. So if I wanted to round it, I have to click and drag, and that gives me these handlebars. And now I'm going to use this. I'm just going to bring this over here, and again, I'm going to use the Control key to change the handlebars. To make it slightly more rounded. Okay, so also with the shape tool, if I go down to custom shapes, there are lots of custom shapes up here that you can use and combine with things. So I'm just going to take this fish, I'm going to click and drag, and again it inherits the fill and stroke that was already on. So I'm going to change this to that, and then go to the stroke, and I'm going to change this to yellow, and then over here we've got different types of lines that we can use. I'm going to stick with the plain line, just going to reduce it a little bit. too much, and then move it over. Again, the cool thing about the shapes is when I go to the pen tool, if I want to change the shape, I can. So I've just removed a node, and now I'm going to put one in, and I can change how it looks. So that is basically creating a go back to this, make sure transform controls on. That is basically creating a simple logo. If I want to, I can duplicate this layer by right-clicking duplicate, and then I've got two fishes. Now obviously with the move tool selected and transform selected, I can move it around. A strange thing happens when I do this. It kind of flips itself over, so I don't really want that. But I can go over to edit and transform, and I can flip things horizontally. And remember, if you want to add perspective, you can also go over to edit, transform, and you can distort, skew, rotate, scale. But when it's selected, if I hold down control, that can also control the perspective as well. So experiment, click and press and undo when it goes wrong. Enjoy.